Hey, welcome to the tech capital of the world, Kernersville, North Carolina. We're the home to some of the best intro music that money can buy. Kevin Doyle was spinning the beats this morning. I love it, Kevin. How you doing?
I'm good. Good. I should get the decks out, shouldn't I? Really? Do the whole the analog
exactly.
record thing. Maybe that's what we should do.
That was some chill music, put me in the good mood. So, I think that's awesome.
It was good. Yeah, it was good. I'm back off a little mini vacation, so that was nice.
Yep.
Beach for a few days.
Which proves another fact that I can't do this without you. So, there'd be no show without Kevin. So.
Sorry, people. Sorry we weren't here on Tuesday. But that's why I was just chilling. I was doing nothing. Which was nice. It's always nice to get away.
Yeah.
Couple things to talk about.
We got a big change on the channel here that we want to talk about. Yeah.
We do. Just real quick. So firstly, it's both of these things are around subscribers. We hit 70K subscribers yesterday, I think it was. So that's awesome. Thank you so much to every single one of you that subscribes to us.
We appreciate it.
So that's the first thing. We definitely appreciate it. Thank you so much. The second thing is YouTube introduced a new feature that allows you to have subscriber-only chat. So what that means is you have to subscribe to the channel in order to chat in the chat. Now the intention, and I turned this on, and I think we're going to leave it on because it stops a bunch of spam. That's like its real goal.
Right.
It stops somebody from jumping into the channel and just spamming the channel with something, which we see here occasionally. Not all the time, but we do see occasionally. It's a pain for me to manage, so I'm just like, I'm going to turn on subscribe only. So if you can't chat, it's because you're not subscribing. Subscribe, you have to wait 5 minutes, and then you can chat. So what hopefully this does is stops getting spammed by just bots to start off with, because bots don't seem to do that, and if they do, then we'll handle that. It's one less barrier. And it stops the trolls a little bit too, because there's an extra, they have to wait 5 minutes.
Yeah, and it's a true story. It's funny
horrible.
that we came to this conclusion the same time this morning, because I'm in a Destiny group on Discord, and I didn't know this until a couple of days ago, that one of the people that I play with is a big Twitch streamer. I didn't know that. Not for Destiny, but for cosplay or something like that. And they were talking about how their channel got what's called a hate raid. I don't know what the deal is, but
I've seen this. Yep.
Yeah, lots and lots and lots of like pornographic images were being shoved out to them, and there were so many of them that when you're an individual mod and running a channel, there's nothing you do. They just had to turn the stream off.
Yeah.
And so so then we were talking about building bots and how to combat that. And then, so one of the things YouTube gives us right away is subs only.
Yeah.
So,
So anyway. Subs are different than memberships, don't forget. I'm not turning on, there's a members only chat too. We're not going to turn that on. Most of you guys aren't members. Those that are, thank you so much for being a member. But subs is just an extra little thing. I know most of you guys sub anyway, so it makes it nice and easy to turn the subs on. And if you don't sub, just sub. And it's just an extra barrier. It helps us with the subs too, to be fair. I just win-win. But it stops the trolls a little bit. So
and plus we're trying to get to 100K here so we can get Kevin a plaque. So I'm gonna make a website called getKevinAplaque.com so that we can get Kevin. I don't know where you would put your plaque in the background. Where would you put that? You'd have to change it up.
I might replace this picture. Look, I have, so if I go wide, look, I have this one. I could replace this. Maybe I'll just go there. Or just
change the Guardians to the poster out.
Guardians for a YouTube plaque. Yeah. That's
all right. So just give us a sub if you want to chat, and obviously if you got a burning question today, hit super chat. Yep. Yeah, 70K is awesome. We're excited about that. It's pretty good. Thanks, Alexander.
Yeah. And Antonio already messages on the thing too. I put it on the community channel this morning too. So
yeah.
So thank you. I appreciate it, and thank you for showing up. I like that you show up all the time. It's good.
Yeah, thanks, man.
We definitely appreciate it. We'll do use your Q&A. Throw them in chat. I'll get to those when we come to that part here in a couple minutes. I'll queue up a bunch. Have some in there already. Throw them in there. Again, if you want to super chat, you can do that too. That'll push your question to the top of the list.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'll pick and choose and go through as we usually do. What else did I want to talk about today? Oh. This morning on Twitter, we talked about this just briefly before we jumped on here.
Yeah.
I saw some, what I'm going to call bad advice. And I thought, I'm not going to call out exactly who it was, because I don't even remember who it was, to be honest. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
It was somebody
if you're watching, we're not calling you out specifically. We're calling out the advice. So.
We're calling out the advice and the idea. And it was like one of these, a new popular thing on Twitter is like advice that revolves around like breaking in, and there's a bunch of that. And there's these really long Twitter threads. And this was like one of those like roadmap to becoming a developer threads, right? And it was like 15 things deep. I was like, oh, cool, I'm going to look at this. It was in my feed. I think somebody I follow had liked it. I was like, oh, I'm going to go read this. Interesting. See, see where we kind of align on these things. Step 1 and step 2, I didn't read past. Okay?
Right.
Step 1, you had to have a full understanding of networking, HTTP protocols, basically become a systems engineer. Right, step 1.
Yeah.
Okay, you had to understand all that stuff. You had to understand all that. Step 2.
I mean, if you want to build a Windows app, I mean, like you need to understand that. So.
Step 2. Step 2 was basically summarized as you had to become a computer science expert. You had to then understand not only the networking side of stuff, but also how computers work.
Yeah, the kernels and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly, exactly. At a low level, like how the CPU bus interacts with the RAM and like how the video, and it's like, this is, by the way, this is a roadmap to becoming a web developer.
Right. And so like the thing that's crazy about this, there's lots of words that we can call them gatekeepers or whatever, but I think it's a lack of understanding of like what people do on a daily basis as a web developer. First off, when we talk about software developer in general, we're talking about web development. The reason we pick web development is because it is the most in-demand job out there. Now, there's desktop development, takes different skills. Mobile development takes different skills. If you want to do embedded or like you're writing set-top TV boxes, that's a different skill set. So we talk in general around web development. However, most of Tech Twitter is talking about web development when they're putting this out there. So true story, Kevin, you know this, I've been interviewing for a while now of multiple jobs that people are asking us to do. And one of the requirements we have for this web development job, and this is for a Fortune 100 company. So this isn't like the small inventory control system at the mom and pop bakery. This is a large project that Cortex happens to be working on, and we're very proud to do it. But the primary thing they were trying to find was someone who understood MVC, but also had a strong, like, front-end focused understanding Razor Pages and Bootstrap, which there's nothing about the HTTP stack in there or being a networking genius. Right. In other words, so like one of the problems that we like a lot of times for web developers is even on the front end and the back end guys that we talk about, but the full stack guys typically, and I'm just going to say typically, can't lay a form out to save their life. And so like what happens is they have to separate those because the full stack guys just want to write the web API. And I get that. That's kind of where the money's made. But they don't understand like, how to center a div and using Flexbox and, instead of content in a div or
different skill set.
When I lay this form out, what looks good, so like left align and they don't get that, or they can't figure it out or they don't want to figure it out. And that's such a long way from like knowing how the kernel works inside of, 486 instruction set, or how a router works, or like
the fact
anything
that
like
those
that.
first two things were listed as like almost like prerequisites before you even looked at like HTML. Number three, by the way, was HTML and CSS.
I mean,
number 3 was HTML and CSS. You had to understand these fundamental things before you could even like write your first line of code. And I was like, wow, there's a big difference between what you're saying is need to know versus is a real nice to know. It's like, it's not going to hurt you to know that stuff, but you don't need to know it.
But I guarantee you, even the contractors we have out there, and I say they're not contractors, they're full-time employees of Cortex. This is our contract that we have out there. I would say they're arguably like in the top 10%. These guys are really, really smart. They know everything there is to know about networking and all that kind of stuff. And I get that. They already know it. But I guarantee you, they've never entered the server room at this company. They've never would be able to unplug a jack. They would never, ever look at the firewall, ever. Like never, And so if you're going to learn about what I would call the bare metal now is like, you need to understand HTML, CSS, and then the bare metal things now, I think is like, how do I use Git to push to something? Like, how do I get my code in production? Those kind of things. And even then, when you go to a Fortune 500, there's a guy sitting there or a lady sitting there doing that part. They're managing the release schedule for you. You just need to make sure that you get your commits in the right branch and that the right branch gets merged in. But even that, then they're pushing it to production. So like But I would say that CI/CD, knowing how to get things to Azure, how to publish, is more important than knowing the absolute network stack and how security works at the router or the firewall level.
And if for some reason you had to program that stuff, let's say that you did have a situation where you did have to do something with that, like it's going to be rare because it's going to be, unless it's actually the job, then obviously you're probably not qualified for the job in the first place because it's not a web developer job, right? It's a network admin job.
You're learning something different to begin with, so like
exactly. But if you did need to do something with it that's kind of fringe, you'd just pick it up at the time, just like anything.
Yeah,
you'd Google it. You'd figure it out. Yeah. Like 90% of the job. That's going to account for that one little 10% on that project.
Right.
Figure it out at the time. It seems weird.
And then you can look at like some underlying things, like if you're doing web APIs or things like that, or real-time programming, like where you're pushing and pulling from a back end. You can look at like long polling or versus WebSockets, and that's kind of low level, but like again, that is really something you decide to do on your end. So like, but in general, building websites, it's just a different skill, and that's just not what you need to know starting out. Like you're not going to work on that part of it anyway. Yep. Now, I think this guy is coming from a computer science background, which computer science in general for the last 20 years has been largely oriented towards teaching these concepts, because most of the jobs in the 90s and the 80s were built on machines, like client server type environments. And it's only since 97 that the web has come around. And so I just think computer science degrees haven't really changed a whole lot. In the last 20 years.
Right.
And so they don't teach those things. They also, if you ask them, they'll look down on that part of the business. And I'm like, well, it's 90% of what we do, dude. Like, it's like, you have to adjust what you're doing because, and I think they need to be divided in a couple of tracks. If you're going to go build the next DirecTV cable box, set-top box, then there's some certain skills that don't, in web development, they're not the same thing. You got to know different things. You got to know how things work at the deep level. If you're going to build embedded electronics for like Ford or something like that, then you need to learn different things.
Exactly. Being a web developer isn't going to help you there.
It's not. To a large degree, it's not at this point, But if you're going to go after just, hey, I want to be a coder, I want to make a nice living, web development is the way to go, then you need to start with HTML and CSS. That's the basic of everything that we ever build. It doesn't matter if you're using React or MVC, C#, doesn't matter. You're producing a web page, and you need to know how to build a web page. Now, how does a web page get transferred from the server to the desktop? You can read about that in
it's nice to know.
Google.
Yeah.
You don't. Yeah, but you don't need to go to MIT to figure that part out. And this is what this guy is saying. What the packets are between the server and the thing. It doesn't matter.
Eli has a great analogy right here. It's like when learning to drive, you need to know the engine displacement, exhaust pipe repairs, like learning how to be a mechanic, not a driver first.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't even change my oil anymore. They used to, is the big dad talk you got when we were growing up. Your dad would say, all right, boys, we're going to change the oil. Let me get you under the car and show you how to do this, And my dad did show me how to do that, but I've never changed the oil in my car ever. I think I always took it somewhere and let them change
Me either. I always take mine somewhere, always.
Yeah, and it got so bad now. Like, I don't know if you know this, but one of my big pet peeves is there was a friend of mine had F-150, and I was coming over to help him. He was going to change his spark plugs, and then we realized that the spark plugs were underneath the engine on the bottom.
You have to take the engine apart to do it. Yeah.
So right now, and it took a special tool, and I'm like, yeah, we're going to the dealership, man. I'm out. I was going to help you, but nah.
It's not like it used to be. It's not like it used to be. Like cars are like computers on wheels now, and it's like, and the engines are always like, it's not as easy as it used to be. Definitely not.
And then fundamentally, things have changed. I do know how to do that. It's 4 bolts and it turns right and left. So you can
Alex,
do it, man.
Alex, I have confidence that if you needed to do it, you could do it. I have full confidence in you. Trust me.
Here's the trick. Here's the trick to changing tires, Alex. I'm going to change your life in case you have a breakdown in New York and you have to change your tire.
Yeah.
You may not have a car near, I don't know, but there's a notch on your frame where the jack goes. You can look under there, and that's where the thing goes.
Yeah. Don't put it anywhere else.
And just go like that, and then turn them left or right, whatever it is.
And the other thing is, don't jack it up before you've loosened the nuts either. just because
Yeah.
you'll never turn the thing. Your wheel will turn, and you'll be frustrated.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. 2 tips.
Lefty
for you.
loosey, righty tighty. That's how it works. So.
There you go. There you go.
And that's the
funny.
extent of my car repair knowledge. I've exhausted it.
About mine too. That's about mine too.
Man, I had a flat tire on the highway once, and I was like on the white line, about this far from the white line. I called a service. Yeah. There's no way I was getting hit by a car changing a tire. I could have changed it, but I was like, it's too
but no, I agree. I wouldn't change it I wouldn't change it.
I had that
on a main road.
I had that thing code.
Not gonna happen. Like my car, obviously it has the spare. Do we even have a spare now in this one? I don't even know if I have a spare in this one now. I don't think I do. I don't think it even comes with.
Sure you do. Somewhere.
I don't think new ones come with even spares now. Now that I think about it, I don't know if it does or not. Actually, it does. It does. I do remember it in there. But it also comes like a can of like Fix a Flat or whatever too. There's like a special like.
Yeah, I've done that
like,
before.
Repairing the tire. It's like it's because it has air in it and just like it's enough to get you off the freeway, right? That's kind of its intention. You're gonna have to replace the tire anyway, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
okay. One other thing.
Repair on the
car repair. We're gonna become that. What's that? The NPR thing.
Car Talk.
Repair.
That's change it to Car Talk.
Yeah, Car Talk was a great show. Car Talk was a really, really good show. I missed that show.
The only time I ever listened to NPR was to listen to Car Talk.
Yes, it's good stuff. That was an
I
amazing
wasn't a big
show.
NPR fan in general because the production value was always the same. You know, it's like it was all the same. Like
I like it.
But Car Talk was an awesome show.
Yeah, it was an awesome show. I don't know what does anybody know what replaced Car Talk? Is there anything like that now about cars that you would consider?
So. I don't think it wasn't totally about cars.
It wasn't really about cars at all. It was about people. Yeah. That's what made the show so good.
Yeah, one of my favorite episodes was this guy called in. He says, "Hey, I got divorced from my wife, and she put sardines in my car. What do I do?"
See, that's about people. That's not about.
She went into Vince, man. She was committed to this breakup. You know, it's kind of funny.
What was their advice? Let me guess. Sell the car, right?
I can't. It was something like that.
That was their advice. It's because their advice was always so obvious. It was just like, clean it or like sell it. Like, oh, that was great. Yes, 100%. Top Gear is cool. Top Gear, I used to like Top Gear a lot, like in the days gone. You know, the
wait a second, Kevin. Is he talking about the English Top Gear or the?
Oh, I hope so. The American one's trash. Sorry, it's
come on, man.
I mean, yeah. The old Top Gear is great.
It's actually the original English show. Like I think they've redone it, and there's younger.
The original one back in the day was good. Nah, the original one back in the day was good. Not so much anymore. Again, not really about cars. It's a show that's it's about people. It's comedy. Okay, one last thing before we get to some questions. iPhone announcement came out. Was this yesterday? Yesterday? Day before? Tuesday? I think it was Tuesday, right? But anyway, first time in probably 5 generations, I'm not going to get one.
The huge announcement. Kevin is skipping an iPhone release.
Yeah, skipping it.
Wow.
I'm going to stick with
I guess
my
rack
12.
Focus wasn't enough to get you there. Rack Focus in the
didn't like the rack focus. I thought it looked robotic. Didn't like it. I don't know. I know I can get a better rack focus with a real camera if I wanted to do that. I probably wouldn't use my iPhone.
Exactly.
But I get it. I get it. It's just not for me. It's not a big enough jump for me. Hopefully the 14 will be a big enough jump, and I'll take my 12 to a 14 next year. But
yeah.
I've bought the last 5 or so. Every year I get one. And it's like, this year I'm like, I don't know, it just feels boring. I'll grab a new watch instead. Cheap.
All right,
okay.
Cool.
Okay, let's do some questions. Let's see here. Timo had a question from earlier. Let's see. And this was, it might not even may still not even be here because this was 56 minutes ago before we even started.
Okay, Tim.
So colleges usually offer undergrad CS classes in C, C++, and Java. In your opinion, which one is best to learn and why?
So here's what I know about college. I don't want to like just disable, like I'm not like hating on all college courses. So typically when you're in there, you're going to have like 3 instructors, probably one's teaching C, one's teaching C++, and one's getting Java. The first problem you're going to run into probably is when you want to take it, what's being offered. But let's just assume that you have your choice between these 3 languages and these trees only. I think if you're going to go into web development, Java's the better language to learn because it's more like C#.
Right.
So you can switch to C# when you have to. I'm just kidding. Like you can use Java to build websites. But I think it's a more general purpose language. It's a different type of language than C++ and C. Now, if you want to work on electronics and you want to do stuff like real time programming between devices, things like that, then C and C++ is the route to go there over something like Java. Even though Java does run on devices, I think C++ is probably the better route than that. So, but other than that, I would learn a general programming language like Java first, if I had to pick between those three. I think it lends itself to getting into web development easier, if that's what you want to do. I hope that helps. Otherwise, if you're just learning it to learn loops and stuff, I mean, I still think Java's better because it's you don't have to worry about pointers and things like that in C and C++. Garbage collection, things like that. So it just handles it for you.
Here's a related question too from Christian. So since CS students graduate with, again, only C, C++, and Java knowledge, do you think companies would tend to hire full stack bootcamp grads over CS grads because they lack a lot of skills that we teach?
I think so.
It's kind of why we exist, isn't it? Like,
yes,
because we knew that was the case.
There's a fundamental gap between what's taught in CS degrees and what's taught at a boot camp. A lot of people are trying to make us like, hey, they're one and the same, or we're both being equal, and we only do it in 12 months or 3 months or 12 weeks. Therefore, the other one's better because it takes 4 years to get through. The reason it takes 4 years to get through is because you're taking a lot of other things, a lot of other broad knowledge. If you really compacted a CS degree and just focus on the language, it wouldn't take you. It'd probably take you about a year to get through it.
Yeah, I would say it's at most half the time.
Yeah, maybe 2 years, something like that. But you get other classes. I get it. You get the experience. I get all that. So, but in general, they're not teaching web development. So, especially modern web development. So, you're more than likely maybe to get an older style web development class that's not up to date. The reason they do this is because they have to get everything they changed in the curriculum certified. And it takes a while to get that accredited through the school to change it up. So it's never going to be what I would call cutting edge. And the way they do it is when I talk to a lot of the instructors, they talk down web development like it's something super simple to do and it's easy and it's not worth the time to be taught. You can just Google it. Well, you can also Google Java too. So so it's like, I think they're two different things. That's why we see CS grads come to the boot camp. And what we tell CS grads, treat a boot camp like your capstone course where we're going to build 3 things that are really, really big and really strong. Treat it that way and then combine those 2 things together and break in with it. And we think that's a pretty strong thing because people do value CS degrees in the interview process, or at least in the selection process. Now, what we're trying to do at the boot camp is saying, okay, if you get to the selection process and get to an interview, a Coder Foundry guy that really dominated at the Coder Foundry grad will interview any CS grad that's just out of school because they have a portfolio of projects typically and things they can talk about. Now, there's some CS grads that are doing the things that we say. They build stuff on their own and they have stuff and they're rocking stuff out already. But the one that just did the classes, even if they got good grades, typically don't come out with a portfolio. And so they need something to show to win a job. That's all I think. It doesn't mean that either one, you can't get a job with either one, you can.
Yep.
But there is a difference in what we do, and there's a gap between us and them, which is we're teaching web development and specifically full stack web development. And that's just not found in most CS programs. You might find it more, actually, believe it or not, in a community college program over a CS program.
Yeah, because they're more tailored towards the profession rather than getting the degree. Like there's like an applied science associates is closer.
Yeah.
It's in the US it is. Let's see. Alex says, an Apple investor encourages us to buy the iPhones. Well, me too, Alex, but I'm still not buying one. I told you I'm going to buy the watch, and hopefully this year new Macs come out. So I need the M1X Mac. So I'm down for that.
I won't buy a Mac until I can see when they have a developer focused M1. The RAM to me is still a big deal on the.
I think you have to forget about the RAM.
I know.
It's all to do with the integration.
I can't though.
See, I think it's all to do with the integration. Hey, D-Line, thank you for the super chat.
D-Line got a job, baby.
The 25.
Self-taught, no boot camp, no degree. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Worked LinkedIn, got a portfolio. That's awesome. We'll read this whole quote here in a second.
Here we go.
Yeah. Yeah. Look at that.
It's Delineate. I think that's what that was the name was, wasn't it? I think it's
D-Line. I think it's D-Line 8, man. Like see, he's got the Giants guy over there.
So is that what it is?
The defensive line, the
Okay.
D-line. That's how we say it in the U.S., man.
Okay.
The D-line.
Sorry. but congrats on the job. That's awesome.
That's awesome, man. Your tips.
You guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's very, very cool. Congratulations. And thank you for the super chat.
That's awesome.
Yeah, congrats all around in chat for D-Line here. I like it.
I guess it's the 8th D-line. I don't know.
I always read it as Delineate.
Yeah, I think Ron's onto something here, and that's what I was trying to allude to, that the CS degree can get you to the selection process.
It does. It opens the door, doesn't it?
Yeah. But what we teach is like, if you don't have that, you don't have it. I mean, like, so you got to find another way to get in the door. But
because it's not like you can all of a sudden decide like, I'm switching careers. Oh, I need a CS degree. That's 4 years later. Like that's
we know it's really 5, but like for most people,
right? For most people,
if you went part time, it could be 6.
Yep.
I mean, like like if it's just not something that everyone can do. And then there's the money, and like you're talking about north of 100K in the U.S. to get a CS degree anywhere, and then not all CS degrees, as we know, are equal. Right. So.
No, that's true. You can go get a CS degree from somewhere. If you got it from University of Phoenix or something that somebody will look down upon, like
it's not the same.
It's not the same. So therefore, it's like it's not worth anything. Because some people may let's say that you went to a school that wasn't like an elite school. It doesn't have to be something like that. It's like people will look down. It's weird. Like the fact that they're not all equal is a big thing too. There
is a lot of marketing to this, and so and then this is what we're trying to teach people is. There's the marketing aspect of this, of getting a web development job. You just need to embrace it. You need to build your personal brand. You need to walk into an interview with a sales artifact, which we call a portfolio of projects, and then the technical interview process, you got to know how to navigate that. And they just, the CS degree will get you there, but to get a job, you got to win an interview. And that's what we're worried that most people don't really kind of get through the interview process. So,
right.
That's why we're adding some stuff to our course that's more tailored around all of our advice we give out in the boot camp, and try to bring that into the self-paced.
We're working on some very cool stuff for the post learning to code stuff. We've kind of been mapping it out, but we don't have. It's cool. It's very cool.
So whether you go,
but there you go. You got it right. D-line. D-line. We're just gonna go with D-line from now on, and I will make sure I get that right. Thanks. Okay. Let's go back a little bit. Sean had a thing here. Sean is waiting on a response back from some interviews that he had. So this is some technical questions that are covered as part of that interview. So he had questions about OOP concepts, the big 4 differences between them, some solid principles. Now that always comes up, doesn't it? We always keep seeing that.
Yes, it does. We cover that in the boot camp for sure.
Yeah. What things do you think your current job has taught that can transfer over to this role? Oh, that's an interesting question.
You know what I would do there? And this is me, Sean. That's a good question. Someone asked, hey, what did you learn that you think can transfer to this role?
Yeah.
And I probably would answer this. Let me show you a project I built. That's exactly how I'd answer that. I would deflect to a project. And let me show you what I've learned that can definitely go to this role. So, I figured out the 42 combinations of ham sandwich at Sheets. You mean, that doesn't transfer, if they had a grocery bagging contest for the world's fastest grocery bagger, I would win it hands down. That's so,
Yeah. Again,
but I think thinking fast, being smart, all those kind of things, showing up, leadership, all that kind of stuff is great. And that's how you would have to answer that question. That's the traditional answer. But the biggest question is, let me show you what I do today, right now, today. Let me show you this project that I'm building, and that's what will transfer into this role. My learning journey is what will transfer into this role. The reason I don't like my current job is probably for 2 reasons. Number one, pay or hours. and I can get better of that in a software job. And that's what I'm looking to do, increase the pay and the hours. We can talk about this is my passion and all this kind of stuff, but it's great. But like really, we're moving for the money and the hours. So if you're working a third shift moving boxes for UPS, and suddenly you get to work first shift building websites, it's better.
Right.
Even if the salaries are the same, it's just
Yep.
better.
Yep.
You know, so like I don't have a broken back, and this is coming from someone who actually worked at UPS in college. You know, so like I know how that is. You know, I couldn't do that now. If I was trying to move boxes at over 50,
Right.
I'd be in the hospital every other week with a back injury. You know, just the way it is. Or maybe I'd be in better shape. I don't know. Maybe I'd be slinging them like with the rest of them.
I was going to say,
But I do think OO concepts are important to know. Those are definitely questions you'll get in every interview. Solid is another one that you'll get. And what we show is like, how does solid principles apply to your portfolio? Show me a case where you used one of the principles in solid for this function or this method. Show me where you're using an inheritance in a project, OOP, things like that, overloads.
Every single one of these, like academic style questions, we always try and what we always do relate back to the code. Every single one of them.
Show a code example from
the
your portfolio, and that's. If I had to say, if we had one secret sauce in Coder Foundry, that's it.
Yep.
That is the interview technique that we cover more than anything, and we tell them.
And it's not secret. We talk about it a lot, but
all the time. But like it seems to be a secret. But we use, for example, so if someone says, "Tell me the 4 pillars of OOP," and you say, "Well," and then you go through it and you say, "For example, let me show you a piece of code where I overloaded a function and show you why I had to do that." Bam. You instantly get them to look at the code you wrote, and then you show that you can do it. You demonstrate what you know, and not necessarily talk about what you know. I think demoing is much stronger than talking about it. So know solid principles inside and out, and then know a piece of code that demonstrates that. Super strong. That's a great. Those are great questions. Thanks, Sean.
Definitely. Oh, Elon has something too from his interview. So just some tips. All the coding questions I asked was about manipulating strings. Was never asked to reverse a binary tree or anything like that. I think the meme is starting to affect change. That's probably true.
No, I think, dude, I'm telling you right now, I know it changes, and I have to say, I don't know if we're part of that. I would like to say we're at least part of that movement and trying to change the way the interviews work, because I've seen it different. We definitely impact the people that we talk to on a daily basis. I mean, I've talked to customers and said, "Hey, I like this question, but the take-home test was too long." And I would tell them, like, "Listen, this is what's going to happen. The really good candidates aren't going to spend 5 days making your take-home test. I know you're trying to test them. I get that.
Yep.
But the good ones will just say, I'll go to the next interview that's easier to do."
Yeah.
It's like, it doesn't matter. And so like, we've talked to them about that, but manipulating strings is kind of, you'll see that quite a bit, especially in C# interviews when they talk about, we talk about building strings, because it's what they call an immutable object. And if you're doing strings and concatenating strings together over and over again, you're really making multiple copies of a singular string. And there's techniques inside of C#, like, that you can, so you operate on the underneath object instead of just copying it over and again. And that's kind of one of the things in C# what they're looking for. If you add string 1 plus 2 in a hard loop that goes 1,000,000 times on a web server that has 10 million people on it, you kill the server. So like, you have to know, like, how do I get around those memory leak type problems, But concatenation is a no-no now. You need to be showing, how you do it in JavaScript, either using template functions or string interpolations out of C#. Anyway, I got way too deep in there.
No, that's fine. Sue Green also shared my coding interview, asked me to search a string and some basic SQL join questions.
Great. Yeah.
Cool.
I think those are valid questions, how do I join 2 tables together in SQL? I think those are valid questions.
Yep.
Great.
Here you go. Chris said, would showing an app in React build with class components cover that OOP question?
If you can demonstrate overloads or not all of them, but I think that would be, you could show one component of OOP. You don't have to show all 4. That's what I'm saying is they can ask you about the 4 pillars and you should be able to reel them off. Boom, 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 boom. And then you say, let me show you one thing where I overloaded something. And then you're into code. and then that, bam, you're right there. So I think class components definitely would cover that, especially if you're covering something like inheritance, or even something like interfaces is valid for OOP, even though it's technically not OOP. But like I think even that works. If you're using interface to build a concrete class, I think that's valid. A lot of times OOP isn't object oriented. It doesn't apply to JavaScript because JavaScript isn't object oriented.
Right.
But you can talk about overloading and classes and things like that. 100% Christian. Yes.
Yeah. Should I still apply to a job that I don't meet all the requirements to? Chances are you'll never meet all the requirements to the job. 9 times out of 10, you won't meet them all.
So 70% of if you meet 70% of the roles, or if you can do the main thing they're looking for, do that. Apply for it. So what happens here is weird. A tech manager will say, I need a web developer, and that goes to HR. HR pulls off a template they used last time and just submits it to Indeed, and they don't really change what they're looking for or whatever, or they just don't want to write a specific job requirement, and so they just list everything.
We literally just went through this process, didn't we, with getting somebody for another job, and it was like, we looked at this thing, and it's like, well, that's not what they really want. The job requirement wasn't even what they really wanted. It's like, you don't even, but it's just a cookie cutter thing. We're like, well, we know what you really want, so let's just send you who you really want, and that person got a job.
Exactly. So,
it was weird.
And so, like, there's a disconnect a lot of times between the job posting and actually what the job does. So if you meet 70% of the requirements, you can do that too. The other thing that's unknown about this is sometimes the tech environment doesn't know how much the business is willing to pay. And so I need a senior dev, and they're like, well, we got $50K a year. So they put a senior dev requirement out there, and they're paying 50, which means they're never going to get a senior dev ever. And so you should apply. So
definitely.
So I think you should. Getting a no isn't bad, but when you apply to these things, what I would say my top tip today is when you apply, follow up direct with the HR manager. And if you don't have a portfolio, you need one right now. You need that sales artifact with a project on it, and go, hey, I see you got a lot of requirements in here. I'm building apps in this, and I got some apps I want to show. I think I'm worth an interview because I matched 3 of these. Here's 3 reasons why you should hire me, and see if you can get an interview that way. But hit them up directly, either through LinkedIn, instant message, or Twitter, or something like that. Hit them up directly, or call them. You also can call them on the phone too. There's nothing wrong with that.
There you go. C Green says, I'm currently working on the bug tracker and noticing that the front-end design is taking me a lot longer than the back-end does. Is that normal?
No, it can take a long time to do that kind of stuff. I mean, or using a template, that's what I would ask, so that you can speed that along a little bit. But like a lot of times, laying things out, even if you get a template, it's not exactly what you need. So you end up doing a lot of front-end stuff. But that's part of the gig, is knowing how to get information from your back end to the front end and display it. So
in a pleasing way.
Yeah, and bug tracker is a big project, so it just takes a minute. But try to look at a template. Look at it's a free one called Admin LTE that you can find on the Bootstrap site, and I think that'll get you to a bug tracker. It's free.
Okay. Let's see here. Alexander says, I spoke with you all about a week ago. I think I went to the wrong webpage. Foundry has a .NET Bootcamp. We do.
We do.
We technically have 2 products, right? We have a virtual product, and we have an online self-paced product. So you can go and you can actually find out about both if you go to learn.coderfoundry.com.
Yeah.
The coderfoundry.com site in itself is more about the virtual program. That's where it's 5 days a week, 8 hours a day. And then you have the online bootcamp program, which is at learn.coderfoundry.com. So those are the 2 kind of offers.
And if you talk to us, they're typically the people that you're talking to on the phone are typically talking about the virtual boot camp, the one that's 5 days a week. And so that's typically what they're doing. And there's a process to get approved to that. In fact, if you want to apply for the next cohort, you need to do that by tomorrow. We're going to shut it down tomorrow.
Yep.
I have lots of interviews today with students. So if you want to do that tomorrow. But The other thing is if you want to take the self-paced course, just sign up and go grab it and just try it out.
Yeah,
For 5 days.
you
for
get 5 days
or
for free, and then you
or
can just
first month for $99, and you can check it out for yourself.
Yep, that's it. And if you're asking, yes, you do have to take the quiz.
Yeah,
to get
That's part of our requirement
to get into the virtual bootcamp. You do.
Believe it or not, like we actually are very selective on that. So I'm not trying to scare anyone not to apply, but in general, I should also give you comfort too. We're not trying to just sell it 10,000 times like some of the other bootcamp competitors. We're trying to find people that we think can actually are interested in life change. They truly want to get a software job, and they're willing to put in the time and the effort with us to be able to do that. And so we're just looking for 20, 25 people every 12 weeks that want to do that.
Yep.
So
it is not the I want to buy it there. Exactly. I want to buy it, therefore I can buy it. It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Sorry. That's just how it is. Let me see here. Okay, so Seagreen said that they are taking pieces from multiple templates to customize it a bit.
Yeah, that could take a minute to do to bring those all together, because the CSS could be a little bit different, the class names and things like that. But
and I'm sure it is.
Yeah, it'll take a minute. But that doesn't mean it's not worth doing. Make it look good. Spend the time to make it look good.
Definitely. Yep, definitely. Okay, so thank you for your content. I have a question. What do you think about Node.js in the future?
It's the predominant way to do React right now. Okay. So what I always tell people is focus on today and not 5 years from now when you're learning to code. Pick the mainstream thing. Right now, the predominant way to build React sites, they're using Node. The other way to build a React site is using Web API on the back end. Once it goes from smaller scale project to like super large scale, what you're seeing the big companies do, and I'm talking to several of them, is they're moving away from things like Node into Web API with C# on the back end just because of the performance, memory usage, performance, all that kind of stuff. And it's not me selling you C#. It's just that it's just the way that the industry is going to go. However, there's tons of Node jobs out there. Merge stack, Pern stack. That's what all that is. It's like the database is the first one, and then you've got React, Express, React, Node. So like I think you can definitely have a career doing that for sure. So, but in the future, I don't know where this is going to go. That's why I always focus on what I can get a job with right now. I'll learn the next thing. So when I started out, it was Power Builder, and then it was VB6, and it was VB.NET, and then it was C#. I mean, so those kind of things, you have to roll with the punches. But if you want to break in today, just learn Node and you'll learn the next thing after you've been doing Node for 5 years. And if it goes out of favor or no one wants to support it, and then learn something new. There's nothing wrong with that either. I mean, these things do go in and out of favor all the time. So it's not like, I'm looking at you, Silverlight. I mean, so like, Silverlight happened and then went away, and people are like, want to ban Microsoft for going away from plugins. Well, the whole industry did. Who cares? Flash was the same way. Should I learn Flash? Well, at the time when it was out in the late 90s, yes. Now, heck no. So for now, today, you can learn Node. I would pick up the backend technology like Web API, C#, and then combine React and C#. I think knowing all three of those is good. So hope that helps.
Okay. Let me see here. I hope this we can pronounce this correctly. Chitney. I hope that's right.
Yeah, he's been on here quite a bit.
Apology if it's not though. Chitney.
Yeah.
How to learn new programming tech. For example, I know Django and I have to learn Flask. Should I do another Udemy course? And after the course, build projects in Flask. I'm learning Flask for resume build up. I'm guessing he already knows Django, wants to learn Flask. I guess he ultimately wants a job with Flask.
So ultimately, yeah, I guess. So like, it depends on what you want to do. If you're working right now as a Django developer and then learning Flask is fine. Take a Udemy course, then build a project after it. You're right. That's exactly right to learn how to do that. If you're trying to break in, what I would caution you on is trying to learn 8 or 9 different ways to do something and just learn one and focus on like if you already know the Django, then I would build a bunch of Django apps and go and interview for Django jobs. Then after I was getting paid, I would learn Flask. So that's my two things on there. We see so many people in here, you know, like we said, Kevin, some guy says, I'm learning 9 languages right now. And I'm thinking, if you're learning 9, you're learning 0.
Right.
You know, you know, you're not learning any of them. And so like focus, the big mistake learners make is they can't decide where to focus their learning. And what we tell people, and I actually have multiple videos about focusing your learning, and we say, pick a stack. We think it's ASP.NET and C#, but hey, pick the Django, pick React Node, learn that, build projects, interview for those jobs with that stack. You'll break in easier and then learn the next thing. But you know, if you want to learn Flask, go for it, man. I mean, you know, take a Udemy course and after the course, build a project in Flask for sure. That's how you do it.
Yep. There you go. Let's see. Ram's question. I like Ram's question. What do you guys think of cryptocurrency and blockchain development? Is it going to dominate the future?
I don't think so. It's not going to dominate. What do you mean? Like,
I think it has a place.
Web development?
Right.
Not in a million years. It does. So these are very niche things that do certain things. So you shouldn't be using blockchain because of the way the technology works for certain use cases. Okay. But no, I mean, but is there an industry, a niche industry around that stuff? Yes. 100%. Yeah.
Yep.
So like, you know, if you wanted to like take my bet on it, you could learn how to make NFTs and make an NFT maker site and charge for people to upload their image and make an NFT and send it back to them.
Here's my think about this, or my thoughts about this. I think it's here to stay. I think it is. So therefore, should you like base a career around it, or can you? Yes, you can. I think you can. I think there's a space there to do this. It kind of fits the same thing as your other point about do what's hot now, and it is hot now. And I think it's not going to be a flash in the pan hot. I think it's here for a minute. The blockchain technology is here for a minute. The next killer application of the blockchain technology is where it's going to like be a thing. It's going to happen. Yeah. It's going to move into some other industry or do something else where it's going to be killer. I don't think it's found its killer application yet. I don't think its killer application is currency. I think it's something else, even though that's what's hot right now. But I think it's
my thing is that I always think that if you look at, let's say that there's 10 million developers working, okay? Of that, how many percentage is working on blockchain development? I would say it's about 1%, maybe 2%, maybe 5% at the most. And I would say it's a good 60% to 70% are working in web development right now. So like, it's not going to, when I think dominate the future, it's never going to dominate the future. The things that are going to dominate the future are web and mobile. I mean, like, and then those things are quickly converging. And so that's just the way it is. That's where most of the stuff's going to be done. But hey, if you're an expert at blockchain development, could you, as Joe, our friend Joe, say, stack the bag or make some coin doing that? Absolutely. I mean, if that's where you want to go for it, be an expert in it, and then apply for blockchain development jobs. So, but web and mobile will dominate the future for the foreseeable that I can see. And so do what's right now. You know, in the next 5 years, if you have no job, learn web development. If you're already working, learn whatever you want. But I think it's going to be, it's kind of cool.
There you go. I think it's one a little bit out of order with Chris. So first time here in chat. I've been going through the videos the past couple of weeks, and I got to say thanks for all the tips. Make quite a list to use when I started playing. That's awesome. Thanks, Chris. Well,
nice,
thanks for coming out and hanging out with us. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Glad we could be of some
use. We haven't put much out over the last couple of weeks. We've been on various vacations, so we're getting ready to get back into our, going back to content mode, as Tony Stark would say.
There you go. Let's see here. What's next on the list? I don't know if you see this. You see .NET MAUI got delayed?
Yes.
See, so talk about .NET MAUI delayed.
So I think I don't think it's a big deal. I think that when you talk about a 12-month release schedule, no one in the industry had tried this, and then also COVID made a delay into that. They're working fully remote all the time.
Yep.
Which is weird that they would talk about that and say it caused a delay. And then a lot of people think remote works better than in person, but I'm just a side note.
They've just
.NET
said into
Maui,
2022, right? They haven't put a date.
yeah,
on
it's
this
going to be
yet, I don't think.
second quarter, maybe third quarter.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it's going to impact anybody's life whatsoever that they delayed
Right.
it by 3 months or 6 months. The people that are interested in .NET Maui, like we are and like other people, are working
Yeah.
on the previews right now.
Right. It's more cutting edge stuff, isn't it, at the minute?
Yeah, and so like, so like what they don't want to happen is you make a release on your mobile app in .NET Maui, and it's just not quite there. And so
Well,
I
if it's
think
bad
it'll
out of the
come
gate,
together.
it'll get no
Yeah,
adoption, and then they've just killed
yeah,
it.
yeah. And then so I think it's still going to be a very game changing thing that they're trying to do, which is bringing desktop, mobile, and even using web tools to build these things in a native cross-platform way is very. So what Microsoft's recommending right now is you're still on the Xamarin Toolkit. If you're building a mobile app today and you want to do it in a cross-platform way, still use Xamarin to do that
Right.
for the next 6 months. And what I would say is, like I've always said, if you're doing something today, do what's now. You don't have to like adopt Maui if you need it out over the next 6 months. If you can wait 6 months for your next mobile app, maybe then you look at Maui later, and you're in the previews at this point if that's what you're doing. I would definitely be, if I'm targeting a .NET Maui release, then you should be in Visual Studio 2022 right now, looking at what it's doing, starting to get familiar with the tool set and that kind of thing as they kind of improve it. But they will ship it, and it will be good when it's done. They're spending way too much. They've spent.
It's not going to not ship. This is not going to be vaporware.
That's what people are saying. I hope this
Oh.
doesn't like get thrown away like Silverlight. It's not Silverlight, dude. This is big. I mean, like, and it's unprecedented. No one else is attempting to do this. Microsoft's the only company trying to do it, so it'll get there.
Yep.
They may change the name.
Another new viewer today too. So awesome. I guess that's Straight Pure Zone. I like it. So yeah. Thanks for checking us out, hanging out with us. We appreciate it.
Thanks, man. Hopefully I can help you more in the future. So that's great.
Let's see. C Green had another question here. Are Android apps steering away from Java?
Yes. They've already done that. I mean, that's been going on for a while. You need to, if you're going to like use Google's following how to build things, you're looking at Flutter at this point. And I believe that's Dart underneath the thing. And then they also are embracing Kotlin as well. But I think that's just kind of what they're doing. I don't know why they went away from Java. They just did. And I could be wrong. Some of you guys that are building it for a living, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure just looking at it, Google is pushing you away from Java. Doesn't mean they're not going to support it. It just means that it's no longer the first-class citizen for mobile development for it.
Right.
So they've got a new tool called Flutter.
Here's a good question
That's what
for
you
you.
need to be looking at.
Christian wants to know: is it a coincidence that the top billionaires are software engineers?
Either that
It's
or
literally,
oil.
it is literally in the book.
Yeah.
It is at the very beginning of this book when you talk about sitting in the classroom and saying that the next mock Zuckerberg could be there.
Read the first chapter of the book. You probably could find it on Amazon and read the first chapter.
There you go. And we actually made a whole video about this too in the past, didn't we? Remember
Yeah,
we made the
there
video
is-
we're talking about sports professionals, and it's like, and people are like, oh man, like LeBron James, and like, yeah, but Mark Zuckerberg, like,
makes more than LeBron James.
so
By a factor of something. But I don't know if it's 10, but it's a lot.
it's a lot.
So what I've always say, it's not a coincidence. But here's the thing that should encourage you. So let's say that you aspire to be a basketball player like LeBron James. Okay, what does that look like if you're not that good at basketball? You're playing in a summer league, a church league, a Y league.
You
you
need another job, is what it. That's what
and
it
you have
is.
another job. I mean, there's
Yeah,
no middle ground for professional athletes. It's either top or nothing. And then when you look at it, there's very few professional basketball players in the thing. And I think we broke it down in a video where we're talking about it was 1% of high school players going to play college. 1% of college players going to play in the NFL. And you're looking at the total number. It's just like, it's
chances
super
are like
elite.
this much.
You have next to no chance to do it. Doesn't mean you shouldn't play sports. It just means that. But if you're a coder and you suck at coding, like say you're just an average, what the computer science guy's looking down, you're just a web developer. A computer science professor told me, you just teach people to push buttons. I'm like, okay, but that button pusher is making 100K. So,
Exactly.
like, I mean, like that's different than playing in a Y League for free and, you know, working at a convenience store. It's just a different life.
Yep.
And so like, but if you hit it big,
I think that's what people miss. The top tier is better in development, but
it's
also
better
the
than
lower
that.
tier is like not even just better. It's like it's 1,000,000 times better than the tier below.
So,
you know,
I put it this way: LeBron James is playing for the Lakers. Steve Ballmer owns the Clippers. That's the difference. You know, I mean, like he owns the Clippers. Like he owns the whole thing. So like, if you're involved in software engineer, you have such a high ceiling. And then another thing too, let's be frank about this. Mark Zuckerberg, the thing that set him apart from everyone else in the industry at the time was that he knew how to code. He did see something in social media, but I guarantee if you talk to the young Mark Zuckerberg, he had no idea Facebook was going to be that big.
Of course not.
Now he's done some.
He wanted to meet girls on campus. That's literally he would tell you his origin story is to try and meet girls on campus. He had no goal past that.
He had no goal past that.
It's right place, right time.
Yeah, and so like I do think that the top billionaires, you know, well you've got the guy at Amazon, Bezos. I don't know if he's a software developer by trade.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know, but I have no idea. You know, Bill Gates was a software developer, engineer / both.
Yeah.
Very smart guy. So like you're looking at the top of these, they're engineers, and they're just it's because you can make money. And there's a lot of people in the 100 million club or the like close to billionaire club that you don't know about.
Yeah.
That own things like Salesforce and lots of other companies that get bought all the time. So I think software engineering gives you that super up ground, and then the bottom bar is still really, really good. So
right.
I think you should learn to code.
Yep.
We can teach you how if you don't know how.
We do it. You can. Shameless plug. Learn.codefoundry.com.
Shameless plug. Learn to code. Codefoundry.com.
I gotta throw that in there every so often.
Yeah.
Let's see here. What's the next question?
Yeah, we got 3 minutes. If you got a burning question, go ahead and super chat us now. So we're going to get off here in about 3 or 4 minutes. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the sub.
Oh, here we go. I like this one. I like this other question from C Green.
Yeah.
What should I post on my LinkedIn to interact with other posts but never post anything?
We go into detail about this. I think you should post about technical topics. Write a post about
things within your niche,
JavaScript arrays or whatever. You know, something like that. It doesn't have to be anything super like detailed or, you know, but just make sure it's accurate. But you don't have to like think you're going to change the world with a post either.
Right. I mean, and you say you're interacting with other people's posts. That means you're reading other people's posts. So kind of see what they're posting too, and kind of try and piggyback on that as well. Maybe they can spark. Maybe their post can spark an idea in you. Be like, oh yeah, I should talk about that. Don't copy the post. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not. Definitely don't do that. But use it for, you know, be like, oh, I see they're posting about this kind of thing. Maybe I can post about that too.
But if you're trying to break into tech, post and comment on tech software development type things. Follow people that could hire you. If you make a post on LinkedIn, make sure you share that on Twitter and those kind of things, and push it across all your social channels. Try to build up a brand with posts. It's a lot of commitment, time, and effort, but it's worth it.
Right. Okay. Pashal says, any ideas for the portfolio? I'm guessing just for a portfolio in general. We have a million ideas for a portfolio. We have a ton of videos
too long
on it.
to go into. But yeah, so I think the best thing I could do because we're getting ready to run out of time here, was look at our thing. Now that's what you put on a portfolio, or the killer portfolio. I think we go into detail on that one.
Yeah. Go search our channel.
We can put it in chat.
Go search our channel on YouTube for the word portfolio. They're all tagged with that, and there's a couple in there that'll show up that have a lot of views on them. They'll give you our exact things, because we go very deep and very exact on some stuff.
Yeah.
Let's see.
One more for the road.
Let's do one more here.
It's taco time, Thursday.
Oh, here you go. Eli wants to know, I think you could build an NFT game as a web app. What do you think a good stack for it?
I don't know what you're talking about, but if it's a web app, you can build it with ASP.NET and C# or or React or JavaScript. But I'd have to know more about what you're trying to do.
Yeah. Let's do one more here. Vue or React? .NET.
How about all of them?
I think we're going to start with React, right? I think that's
so
we're leaning kind of towards React.
In big news, in the .NET blog, the React templates and the Angular templates for Visual Studio 2022 have been greatly improved, as well as the JavaScript and TypeScript experience in Visual Studio is greatly improved. I've always said this before that a lot of times I'll have two tools open, one for the front end, one for the back end. One's VS Code, one's Visual Studio. And I haven't tried this yet because it just came out. I'm like probably what I'll be doing over the weekend. But in general, React and Vue is your front end templating engine. The back end is going to be in .NET. So like that's going to be web API with C#. So that's how Microsoft is pushing you to do it. And that's how the enterprise is really doing this. For the React, for the front end, Vue, React, Angular, depends on what the customer or what the company you're trying to do is. But I would definitely learn web API on the back end because I think that's where it's going to go. But, you know, either one. I think React's probably more popular than Vue at this point as far as usage. So if I had to pick, I'd pick React right now. But hey, if your company wants a .Vue, it's lighter weight, it's more modular, it's kind of cool. I mean, so I don't think either one's worse or the other.
Yeah, it's not wrong.
With both. Yeah.
There you go. Cool. Okay, we're just past the hour. Let's wrap this up. It's taco time. Yeah, we're back on Tuesday.
Back on Tuesday
with a new video.
We should have a video released soon on.
Yep.
An exciting
finishing
topic
up editing one.
Tomorrow.
So yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So we can get that edited up. So yeah.
So check us out.
We
just got a super chat from BK.
Oh, BK, thank you so much.
Fan.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, BK. Have some tacos on me. I want to ask BK a serious question. Go widescreen.
Go for it. Hold on. Here we go.
I know BK pretty well. You like this shirt?
What's the shirt?
Shang-Chi. I'm asking BK specifically.
Hold on. Is BK not a Shang-Chi fan? Is a Shang-Chi
No,
fan?
I sent him one. So
did you?
Yeah, he doesn't know it yet.
Oh, okay. So I hope you didn't come in chat and be like, no, I hate that shirt. Shirt sucks.
I hope you like it.
Oh, that's awesome. That's cool.
I've met BK on Twitter. He just graduated from CodeFounder a while ago and got a job. And we're so excited that that we helped a little bit in his journey. But he was a smart dude when he came in. So
yep.
We definitely just kind of showed him how to build a portfolio and build it with .NET. And so he's doing quite well.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah. So we'll be back on Tuesday. Another one of these. Everybody have an awesome weekend.
See you later, guys.
We'll see you guys later.